got shot down over the oil rigs. There's another F-5 pursuing the 21.
Yeah, tally. With established and dedicated online servers geared to Cold War era combat, and especially with all the new content coming out for the F-5 with standalone missions and campaigns, I've had some people asking about how to pre-flight their systems and settings. Firstly, this is a quick overview of how I set up prior to launching. If there's something specific not covered here that can't be found on one of the other channels or in Chuck's guide, let me know and I'll put together another video for you. Secondly, again, this is how I set up for online simulated air combat. I don't care that my weapon safety may be going off prior to fencing in, or any number of other things that may not jive with NATOPS or your MILSIM crew. It is what it is, and it works for me. With that out of the way, let's get to it. Start by setting your radar into the operational setting. It takes a while to warm up, so by doing this first, it'll allow you to have it ready to go by the time you're airborne. Following this, I go right to left so as to avoid missing anything. Set your boost pumps to the crossfeed setting, which will allow fuel to automatically balance. Next, set up your fuel to draw from external fuel tanks if you plan on loading any, and ensure that you're drawing from the correct pylon, as you may have wing mounts only, leaving your center line for heavier ordnance, center line, or both. If you're planning a longer engagement and have 3 external fuel tanks loaded, think about drawing from wing pylons first before centerline or vice versa. This will allow you to jettison empty bags and reduce drag as you go. Next is your RWR. Hit the power button to activate it, then select search. When engaged, search will show you all the active search radars, but will drop the contact once it goes active and locks onto. When you hear the RWR warning that you've been locked, immediately deselect search to view the threat. Now, set your reticle. The only 2 settings that I use are MSL, missile, if you're loaded as purely cap, or manual, if you're loaded with air-to-air and air-to-ground ordnance and wish to set up a lower depression to the site for a more accurate rocket or bomb deployment. Keep in mind that even if you leave your HUD to manual, you can still quickly enter air combat by using the Dogfight/resume search switches, which should be bound to your HOTAS. Dogfight ties in with your radar, and Dogfight Forward will give you a better solution for missiles, while Dogfight Aft will track gun solutions. Selecting Dogfight Center will resume whatever your original setting was, more often than not manual. Set your UHF, which is your radio, to both, and change the frequency if required. Select the Sidewinder pylons, and set weapons to hot. Remove the emergency jettison cap. This is done so that you only have to bind one key, or, if you don't wish to bind, we'll only have to click the jettison button once in order to drop ordnance if you suddenly find yourself merged. Keep in mind that the emergency jettison all will still retain your air-to-air ordnance. Finally, ensure your countermeasures are active. I usually do single for both, chaff and flare, which will drop one of each with each depress of the button. Once your radar starts registering on the screen, switch it to standby until needed. The radar on the F-5 is nowhere nearly as effective as its modern day replacements. In my opinion, leaving it on just tells your Op4 that you're there. I have it bound onto my HOTAS so as to keep the radar in standby until I'm merged and am entering dogfight mode. Well, this is merely a crash course in setting up the systems required, in my opinion, to scramble the F-5 and have it be combat effective. Hopefully newer pilots of the airframe will take something away from this. Throw any questions, comments, additions, or top-ups you might have below in the comments section, and happy hunting.